Well, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Costa Rica Crypto. And today I have the pleasure and the honor of talking to somebody who I'm super fond of for a couple of reasons that we're going to get into. So Tom from Trybe.one, which is a social sharing and media platform that basically enables content creators to be able to share their content and get paid for it. So welcome, Tom. Thank you so much for talking to me. I'm a huge fan of what you're doing because I've been using your platform since day one. So I'm really excited that that you made the time for me. I know. Go ahead, Tom. I know you're in Australia.
Yeah.
Huge time.
Yeah, it's a total pleasure. I mean, I've sort of gotten to know you over the last few months, I guess, as well, because, I've seen your posts come up on Trybe and, these days I don't actually have time to write anything myself. I just follow everyone else's great content. So, I'm always thrilled when I see one of your posts go up there, and I'm, love checking out your videos, and especially, as time goes by, you sort of delving deeper and deeper into EOS and into the different dApps and the different people behind the scenes. And it's really cool. And it's a real pleasure. It's a real pleasure to chat to you as well, Matt.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be talking to you too. I kind of mentioned previously, it was funny because I saw Trybe and I saw it under one of the airdrops. I was like, this looks okay. Okay, I've got to go in and register for it. No problem. I went in, I did my registration, and that was originally going to be like, I'm not going to lie to you. I want to be honest with you. That was originally kind of how I was going to leave it. And then I went in and I started poking around a little bit, and I suddenly became very, very interested. And then when I started doing the channel, I was like, where is a greater platform to be able to do what I do than this thing? And thanks to you, man, you're helping the channel grow. You're helping me get a little bit more exposure, and I think what you're doing is super cool. And not only that, but and by the way, I did shave for you tonight, and I put on pants. It's late for me here.
I didn't shave for you, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I had a busy week and just didn't get around to it. So. I did wash my hair though. That was as far as I got.
Well, I think that counts. I think that's good enough for me. I was a couple minutes late coming in here because I was like, oh my God, I've got to look presentable. I don't know why I felt that way, but I think I've got a lot of respect for what you're doing. And we'll take a deep dive into that kind of here. But yeah, you're the only guy I know. Like, I mean, my pictures on Trybe are still terrible. I apologize for that. But you're the only guy I know when I first started, and I was screwing up posts all over the place. You know what I mean? You're sending me messages like, "Hey, Matt, this isn't working. Like, maybe you should consider fixing this." Probably.
As I said, though, to be honest, I think the bugs are in the software, not in your posting skills, because it should be easy, right? You should just pop your video in there and it should just appear. But unfortunately, that still is not happening. So it's just one of those weird bugs that we just can't track down. And there's, so many other things to work on at the same time. So yeah, whenever I see one of your posts, I just go in there and, manually fix it up, which I guess is what you have to do in early stages of development, is lots of just sort of manual fixing up of things.
I love it.
Keep things running. Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Honestly, especially when you messaged me too. I was like, Tom Norwood, and then I kind of I searched your name. I was like, this guy created this. It's kind of, it's just for me, the fact that you take such a personal approach and you give such personal care immediately turned me on to it, and I knew that that you cared. So before we get too deep into it, Tom, can you kind of give a description? And I always say this for let's just say your 12-year-old nephew or your 14-year-old nephew, what exactly is Trybe?
Okay, so I guess basically it's just a way to share knowledge. So it's a way, if you've got knowledge and you want to share it, you can put it out there on Trybe, and other people who want to learn about, eventually anything really, hopefully, we're sort of eventually looking to expand the platform to cover almost any topic. But the idea is that you can find really high quality information on any topic you choose. And you can find a reasonable amount of sort of in-depth information. So I guess if you want to look at it maybe like a book, if you want to find a book on a topic, then you can find a book, and a book's maybe got 50 chapters. You read all those chapters and maybe not everything there is to know about the topic, but quite a lot, right? Like, you've had a good kind of overview of the topic, much more than you'd get from, say, a Wikipedia article where you just kind of get a very high level kind of overview. Trybe's a bit more of a sort of in-depth dive into any topic. So at the moment, we're mainly focusing on EOS, as you know. So if you want to learn about EOS, if you want to learn about block producers or RAM or, dApps or any aspect of EOS, you can go to that sort of topic on the Trybe website and find the best 20 or 30 or 40 articles written on that topic in the last few months. And that's kind of it. If you read those articles, you'll be not an expert on that topic, but yeah, it will like, it's like you've read a book, on that topic, and a recent book written by a whole bunch of different people. Not each chapter is written by the same person, like in a regular book. This is kind of like everyone's contributed to it. So it's kind of like a crowdsourced knowledge base, I guess.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I, of course, as you know already, since day one, I've been using it to kind of promote Costa Rica crypto. And the thing that I loved about it, as I said, is that it's not often that you speak with the creator of one of these dApps and he's going around, sending you notifications like, "Hey, Matt, you messed up again. Do you mind fixing?" It doesn't like not only that, but actually fixing them yourself, which is pretty cool to see. So. I think at this early stage, I guess it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be able to have that level of sort of hands-on where I can get to know everybody and check out everyone's content. And I guess as time goes and the site grows, and I won't be able to have such an intimate level of sort of contact with all the content creators. Although I'm going to keep trying as much as I can, but it'll just get out of my hands, to a degree. Hopefully, I mean that's the plan. But yeah, no, at this stage, it's great to be able to, it's nice. It's forming like a nice little community that, you're aware of, like you're part of. And I mean, EOS is like that anyway, right? EOS is sort of this great sort of community. And this is just kind of like a little subculture, I guess, within a subculture. But yeah, it's a nice feeling, and it's sort of nice to be able to, everyone's so open and sharing and sort of giving. And yeah, I'm really surprised at the really high level of content that people have posted on there, and the quality of it and the time that people take, like, obviously yourself and lots of other people, to go in and write great articles or create great videos or whatever. So yeah, it's inspiring. It's fun, and I often find myself combing through a lot of it as well. And you're right, you do have some really, really good content in there and some fantastic creators. And that's not me blowing my horn. That's just some of the stuff that I've seen pop up on there has been some pretty thought-provoking stuff. And as you said, there's a focus right now on EOS and other cryptocurrencies. And I think that's great. I think it's cool. I do think it'll expand and continue to grow. But I guess another question that I might have for you is, there's a ton of cryptocurrencies out there, and this is something I ask absolutely everybody else. Why EOS?
Why EOS? I guess one of the first things which attracted me to it was obviously the feeless transactions. Because if you build a platform on Ethereum, as you know, every time there's a transaction on the blockchain, someone has to pay for it. So that's not actually a very useful thing to run a social sort of network like Trybe is, because obviously the users don't want to have to pay every time they do anything necessarily on the platform. And also just the speed, the speeds of EOS, the transaction speeds enable, it's basically, as you know, enabled for high speed commercial applications, which I don't think other blockchains really are at that point yet. So I guess they're sort of the main things. And what else was it? I get their marketing, to be honest, is just incredible. It's like Apple level marketing. You watch some of those slick videos and listen to like Brendan and Dan chat, and it's all, it's like a very slick sort of message. And it's just so well done. I sort of got, I was already sort of fascinated by blockchain, and that just kind of took that fascination to a whole new level, I guess. And then apart from that, the community, EOS just has sort of, for some reason, attracted this really great community of people. I think people who really want to make a difference in the world and, do something better and make something better. And so that's another aspect of it. So yeah, lots of reasons, I guess.
Yeah, I have to of course, I know why you chose Trybe. I just, it's always interesting to ask people and kind of get their answers straight from the horse's mouth, or why you chose EOS rather, not Trybe. So I guess the next question I want to ask is, how did you end up getting yourself into this mess? How did this come about? Where did you start? And how did you decide this is what I want to do, and dig deep and go for it?
That's a big question. I'll try to summarize it as quickly as possible, I guess. I think, I've been working on websites and I've done lots of digital marketing, created lots of websites for forever, basically, since the internet almost first came around. I was sort of playing around trying to build websites, and I've run a few different businesses, and I've always built my own sites and sort of I've had quite a lot of experience, just in the web domain, I guess. And one of the things that sort of really frustrated me over the last few years is the way that social media is starting to take over, really, as our main source of information. And, people don't really use newspapers anymore. They don't really use magazines so much anymore. Like, social media has become our media outlet. And people are just basically, they're getting into that echo chamber effect where they're getting their beliefs sort of bounce back at them, and just sort of being surrounded by a circle of people who believe exactly the same sort of things that they do. And I honestly believe that's a dangerous situation for the world. Because, people don't really know what's going on out there. I mean, at least in the past, you bought a newspaper and you got sort of some sort of exposure to, world politics and world affairs and, what's happening in the environment and, with wars going on around the world and that sort of thing. Whereas these days, people are just quite insulated from the rest of the world, I guess. And also, I think that, to be honest, a lot of the algorithms in sort of social media they promote clicks. They don't really promote high quality information. They're not promoting, it's not like the best quality, most educational posts are the ones coming up at the top. What's coming to the top are the ones which get the most sensationalist kind of post, the ones which are most likely to get clicks and get likes or whatever. So again, we're not only in this echo chamber, but we're just sort of being fed this sort of pseudo knowledge, I guess, which, no one verifies. No one's out, no one's deciding whether it's actually real or not. Like, you could say that aliens landed on Earth, and if it got enough clicks on Facebook, people would probably believe it, right? Like, it's not. So yeah, my sort of frustration and fear around that as well, to a degree, like just sort of fear for, the human race and the planet itself. And I think I sort of realized, look, I'd like to try to do something to change that and to create a sort of social network, I guess, which actually shows people something interesting, something that they're interested in learning about, but also teaches them something useful and potentially or hopefully shows them things which have been verified to a degree, like information which has been verified at least by the community, maybe by an editor. At the moment I'm acting as kind of the only editor, but, behind the scenes I'm kind of getting rid of articles which I think are not really correct, and promoting ones which are sort of, I feel are more valuable. So yeah, I guess that's sort of the short short version.
I love it. It's so true, because we're fed all this clickbait, and let's be real here, man. Like, let's just get down to it. People are gullible, and they don't take the time to verify. They don't give a crap. Someone rolls up on their Facebook, and all of a sudden they've come up with this belief, and who knows what's incentivized it, whether it's a certain party or this or that. But people are now consuming complete crap on a daily basis and buying into it. So I think that is, just through some of the stuff that rolls up on your feed. I mean, how many articles you see on Facebook or whatever else, where, Princess Medusa is back from the dead and whatever. It's getting stupid in a hurry. So I think that's a little bit of a deeper mission than I really kind of thought that you would have for that. But I definitely probably even have more respect for that than I do anything else. You're right. We consume a ton of, quite frankly, we consume a ton of shit on a daily basis. And the fact that you're trying to do something about that is really cool. Let's talk a little bit about how you kind of design the system to choose the best content, and how you design the system to reward the best contributors through kind of voting and incentivized tokens.
Yeah, look, so I mean, that's a work in progress. And obviously over time, we're sort of evolving that. And I've actually just started working with a guy recently who's going to probably be the lead developer on the site. And we're sort of chatting about lots of different ways that we can, make that mechanism work better. At the moment, it basically just works in that if you give a rating to someone else's content, then that piece of content will get a certain number of tokens based on who gave the rating. So if someone with a lot of tokens gives you a rating, that's worth more than if someone with no tokens gives you a rating. So the idea there is that people build up tokens over time by contributing high level content to the site, and then those people themselves become they become larger token holders, so they have more weight when it comes to rating other people's content. So I don't think it's a perfect system. It's obviously open to abuse and a bit of sort of nepotism where it'd be like, oh, you rate mine, I'll rate yours kind of thing. And we'll definitely have to put lots of sort of checks and balances in place to stop that kind of thing happening. But at the moment, yeah, that's the main thing. It's just sort of socially crowdsourced sort of verification to a degree. And I myself am going through the articles as well and, giving high ratings to the ones which I think, as I mentioned before, that are really valuable. And so kind of giving those a bit of a boost, because I think it's important that, not that I know everything about EOS by any means, but I think it's important to have sort of people there, and I've reached out to a few other people as well. Luke, who posts a lot on the site, I'll probably, even reach out to yourself or Adam or, some other people sort of who are, who I know quite a lot about EOS and say, hey, can you give me a hand to kind of curate these articles? So I think in the end will there'll be three sort of mechanisms. There'll be the social aspect, which is the rating system. There'll be an algorithmic sort of aspect to it, which will do things like monitor how long people spend on a page, for example, to stop people just going to a page and giving it a rating and bouncing off. So, if you spend like 2 or 3 or 5 minutes consuming an article, then that article will have more weight or will be considered better quality than an article that people spend 20 seconds looking at and then just bounce off kind of thing. So, and then the curation, like the editorial curation, like literally just having people in the background, who know their stuff and going through the articles on the site and giving them sort of a bit of extra weight based on their opinion. And yeah, so it's quite a complex web, I guess, of curation mechanisms there.
I don't know if it's a little bit complicated, but I think it's necessary. And I think that that's kind of the right way to go about it. And of course, if you have somebody in there to kind of monitor abuse and stuff like that. But I think that essentially what you're saying is, even though you're kind of one of the editors right now, that eventually the token holders will kind of work you out of a job there as the platform starts to take off. And I think that's cool that the people who are taking the time to really go through the content and the people who are taking the time to post ultimately are incentivized. I've been a huge fan of the page since day one, and I think it's cool. Like it's helped me. But I want to talk a little bit more, because you always hear me say this. Like I like dApps that are socially conscious, and I like dApps that make things accessible to people who might not otherwise have an opportunity. And one of the things that I like about Trybe is that it has no borders. So somebody who lives, be it in Venezuela or in Cuba or wherever it might be, who doesn't have the same opportunity as somebody else and knows a lot about a particular subject, can ultimately, potentially feed their family, simply writing good content, going around curating content. Did you design that with that social aspect in mind, or is that just kind of a consequence thereof?
No, I mean, that's definitely one of the things that, I've had in the back of my head from day one, I guess. And I think, that's sort of like one of the deeper promises of blockchain and cryptocurrencies in general, isn't it? So, yeah. And I think that's what gets a lot of people excited about that space as well, because, as I said, especially I've found in the EOS community, people want to make things better in the world. And I think, distribution of wealth is one of the sort of largest issues in the world. It's crazy that the top 100 people in the world hold something like 96% of the wealth or something like that. Like, it's just insane. It makes no sense at all. We're super rich, really. It's just so badly distributed that, you've got people living in abject poverty and then other people living with more money than they could ever spend in 50 lifetimes. Yeah. And so, I'm thinking, crypto, I think, will hopefully change that to a degree. And I think, sites like Trybe could definitely change that. We're going to have to sort of look carefully at the multicultural aspect and how to manage that, especially the different languages and things like that on the site. Like, at the moment, that's sort of a bit of a challenge, because obviously there's no real segmentation between, the Russian and the Korean and the English and the different languages. But that's something that we'll definitely be building into the platform. Yeah. And hoping to do.
That's one of the things that I love about it. And that's one of the things that kind of, as you said, and you've heard me say before, that I really like about blockchain. Now, I'm not saying that somebody who doesn't work really, really hard doesn't, and makes a ton of money and lives a good life doesn't deserve it, because I think that, people run on incentives, right? That's the basic human economic model of democracy and capitalism, that those who work hard will be rewarded. But I find that in a lot of places, capitalism is highly flawed based on what you're talking about, based on the fact that a small percentage of the population control a large percent of the wealth. And in order to create equal opportunities and just give a guy a shovel, or give a guy a way to be able to generate income, I think that cryptocurrency in general is huge. And that's one of the main things that really appeals to me. It's one of the main things that appeals to me about the site. It's kind of the social aspect of it. And I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate that you have that in mind. I want to talk a little bit about some of the tokens and some of the token economics. I did take a dive through your white paper, and I made a few notes. So I guess we're going to ask the quintessential question that everybody's wondering: when airdrop, right? What's the ratio? You know what I mean? How does that work? And that's such a small portion of what you're doing, but let's get that out of the way, and then let's move on.
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's funny you should ask, because I literally just put a post on Trybe just before I started chatting to you, explaining exactly how that's going to work, and I'll create a little video showing people how to put their EOS account name into the Trybe platform. But essentially, on the 11th of September, I've just chosen that date because it's my birthday, for no other reason really. We're going to airdrop Trybe tokens to anyone who holds tokens on the Trybe website. So basically, if you've got 1,000 tokens on the Trybe website, you will receive 1,000 Trybe tokens in your EOS account on that date. You'll still get to keep your 1,000 tokens on Trybe. So essentially you'll be doubling your number of tokens. So it's kind of a bit of an incentive to get people to, start creating more content, start inviting more friends, building up as many tokens as possible before that date. Yeah. That's basically it. And we're going to be distributing around about 50 million tokens in that way. And if we don't distribute them all on that date, because, obviously there might not be that many sort of in circulation by then, probably 3 months later, we'll do a similar thing. So we'll kind of keep doing it every 3 months, basically just doubling people's tokens until we've distributed all of those 50 million. So that's basically how it's going to work.
Awesome. And I don't want to take away from what you're doing, but that's the question people are going to ask. That's the number one question that they want to know. I think for me, it's been sad to watch, and kind of going to veer off topic because whatever, that's what we like to do sometimes. But just what's been happening to some of these great projects when people are out there and not really examining the potential. And of course, we call them the hamburger sellers who get a bunch of tokens dropped on their accounts, and then of course proceed to go and sell them for literally pennies without actually going to have a look at the project. And I think that anybody who decides to do that with Trybe is ultimately missing out. I think that's kind of a sad thing. And I hope that does not happen, but it's been happening with a lot of ones, and like all the other ones.
To be honest,
go ahead. Sir.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, people won't really be able to do that because in order to get airdrop tokens at all, you at least have to register for the Trybe site. You have to sign up to the site. And then if you want to get more tokens, you have to create content. You have to participate. So you essentially, just like you said, your original plan was just to go in there and sign up and get your tokens. I think that's what most people do. I do the same thing myself. But then while I'm there, I'll check out the platform. And so at least people are getting exposure to the platform. At least they know what it is. They're not just registering somewhere without even really realizing what they're registering for. And I think, a lot of people, in general, people spend quite a lot of time on the site. The average visit time is like 3 or 4 minutes or something like that, which is quite long for a website. So people who, once they come to the site, they and get exposed to it, they generally spend a bit of time on there. So I think this method, instead of just randomly distributing to every EOS, token holder, will basically force people to take a little bit more interest in the project, or rather it will attract people who are actually interested in the project and not just people, like you say, who, want to get tokens for the sake of getting candy or tokens or whatever and selling them on an exchange for next to nothing. So, yeah, I'm hoping that'll give the tokens a bit more value and they'll be in the hands of people who, value them more highly as well.
Absolutely. And I'll be holding on to mine. And that, like, as I said, I'm not going to lie to you. That was my original. I was going in there, perfect. I got to sign up. I got to get my tokens. Great. And then I dug into it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then I posted one thing, and I was like, wow, I just got more tokens. Somebody read this. This is amazing. And of course, it's been interesting because it's just. It's continued to push me to stay consistent and build content, continue to post on Trybe. I love it. Do you have like a maximum supply of the amount of tokens, or what's kind of just kind of further discussing some of the token economics? What's the market cap once these distributions are done, or what are you expecting it to be rather?
So at the moment, it'll be a billion tokens. We're going to be running a token sale, like basically a development fund, in order to pay for the development of the platform. Essentially, I mean, at the moment, the platform that you see there is a very basic version of the platform. It's built on WordPress, like it's the most simplest sort of technology you could imagine. And what we want to do is we actually want to build it like a custom platform, which is so much faster, has heaps of other awesome features, and it's fully integrated with EOS blockchain, and so there's quite a lot of actual software development which needs to be done, and that's what we'll be using the token sale for to raise funds for that. Some of it will be kept by the founders, and then quite a lot will also be distributed to people who, like yourself, who are just posting content and contributing to the platform. So the idea is to have, we've got a billion tokens for sort of this first phase, which will probably last maybe up to a couple of years, and then after that we'll have an inflation, a little bit like on EOS itself, a 5% inflation rate per year. And those tokens will go towards maintaining the platform and also rewarding the contributors to the platform as well. So there'll be a constant supply of rewards for people who create content on there and contribute. Yeah. So that's basically how it's going to work.
I had a few notes. I was intending on asking you about that stuff because I did pick that up in the white paper. And is that, I'm not sure, and I apologize to ask you here, but was that a newer document? Because I took a good comb through it and I hadn't seen anything that was in there before. And it actually, when I combed through that document, I'm going to attach a link below as well to make sure that people have access to that. It kind of opened up my eyes that this is a little bit deeper than go in, make tokens and move on. Like, you've got some pretty big plans for the platform, including advertising, paid content, and a bunch of other things. How exactly are you planning on using advertising, and how exactly are people going to be able to charge for their articles, and how are you going to kind of implement that? What's some of the kind of the mechanics behind that?
As far as advertising is concerned, I think, to be honest, we won't be running ads like a traditional sort of ad network. The only thing we'll be offering people is the ability to boost their content. So if you write an article and you want to get more exposure for it, then you can pay to boost that article. And boosting it will mean that it will come up more often in people's feeds. So once we have our new platform built, it will have sort of a news feed. So it'll appear more often in feeds, and also it will go out in email, mail outs and things like that. It'll just get more exposure. It'll appear more in sort of recommended articles, lists and things like that. But there won't actually be any ads per se. The ads will just be the content. So, if you've got a business and you write a really great article about your business and write an article which doesn't just promote your business, but it actually educates people about your business, right? Because, I know you're a personal trainer, for example, and you must know a lot about personal training. So rather than just sort of creating an ad saying, hey, Matt's personal training is the best, best on the planet, 2-for-1 kind of thing, like, a typical kind of ad, maybe you'll start teaching people about health and nutrition. And through that, people will get to know you. And then that's an ad in itself, right? Like, it's content marketing. It's giving something of value. And then once people sort of learn about you, then they're much more likely, if you've given them something of value, to come and sign up as a customer. And they'll also know whether your service is right for them as well. So, for me, that sort of advertising is kind of, that sort of advertising / education is kind of really the best kind, because if you've created an awesome product or a service, then, people want to know about it, but they want to know about it in a way which educates them, not just in a way which kind of disturbs them with, some flashy GIF thing in their feed or, on the side of the web page they're trying to look at or whatever. Like, that's just annoying. So essentially, that will be how the promotion works on Trybe. You'll just be able to boost. And the better quality content you boost, the cheaper it will be to boost as well. So, if you've written an awesome article about something and you boost it, then it's going to be cheaper than if you've written an average article, with a low rating and try to boost that. It's going to cost you a whole lot more. So again, people are being incentivized for creating something of quality and getting that out to the community.
It's funny you should say that, because that's why I'm kind of smiling with that weird sideways smile. Plus, I'm trying to look out at the camera. But one of my favorite guys in kind of marketing and stuff, of course, a guy who I listen a lot to, and I think he's very right, because I'm employed at my own business. And some people hate him, some people love him. But Gary Vaynerchuk always says, you know what I mean? You give away, and he's so right, based on what you said, and based on kind of the methodology that I've proven in some of my other businesses, that if you give people, you really legitimately give them good content and you feed it to them, you give it away to them, they will come to you and they will want more, and they will fall in love with what you're doing, and they will fall in love with kind of what you have to offer, and they'll come knocking at your door. So it's funny. It's funny you should say that, because it resonates with me in a way that I couldn't even explain. So I think that's...
No, exactly. Actually, I think I've heard, Gary, I think I read something about, him saying exactly that same thing. So maybe I even got it from there as well. I can't remember where I got it from. And also just through years of marketing, I've kind of learned that, that's the best and most ethical and also sort of most valuable way of marketing as well. Like, you're actually giving something of value, and then people don't want what you've got to offer. Well, that's fine too. You don't want to have to, you don't want to beat them over the head. So they give you their money. Like, you're better off finding someone who's going to get value from what you're offering. And then, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. And you don't need a million people to know your name. You need you need 500 or 600 or 1,000 people to really love what you do. That's ultimately how you create clients and how you create value, at least in my experience. So I think you're really, you're hitting the nail on the head with that. I wanted to ask you too, as well, you have kind of this bonus system that's built into your white paper that I was taking a look at. We've got, 12-hour cycle, top 10 all-time contributors. You've got these cyclical bonuses that kind of come through. Do you want to just go through those really quickly?
Yeah, for sure. Look, that will be part of the token sale, and essentially it's building in some of the sort of viral marketing mechanics that are actually built into the Trybe platform itself. So, if you invite friends, then you get extra tokens, and there'll be a similar sort of, a referral program happening in the token sale. But also there'll be, as you mentioned, a bonus structure, which basically rewards people for being higher contributors within a certain period of time. So if you're the highest contributor in any 12-hour cycle, then you'll get a bonus number of tokens. And essentially it's just, it's literally just to incentivize people to contribute more. I won't lie to you. It's a way of getting people to, people are quite competitive. If they see they're down there at number 6, they'll be like, oh no, I'll just chuck in an extra 10 EOS and I'll be up to number 3. And then, I think I got inspired. I don't know if you've seen that King of Eos game. It's crazy though. People are just, throwing these massive amounts of money at it and they just want to get on top. And I was just like, that's what I need in my token sale.
You're killing me. I love it. To be honest,
So
I think it's
I thought I'd build that in. And look, I think, it's, people, it's a bit of a gamification again of kind of, of contributing, and people's brains work that way. People like, and people will get rewarded as well. They'll get bonus tokens for contributing more. So yeah, hopefully we're going to be able to build that. I'm chatting to Nathan at the moment from Generios. He's over here in Australia as well. And we're wondering how we can kind of write up the smart contracts for that. So it's all kind of, built into the blockchain and transparent. And yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to get the mechanics of it sorted out and see how it goes. And look, if it works as a model, then we're going to make it open source, the contract, so other people running token sales can do something similar. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Is there kind of I was looking in the white paper. Forgive me, I don't know if it was like a future development or one that you're kind of working on right now, where people will actually be able to kind of create their own tokens and then use their own particular tokens underneath the same platform. Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah, well, that's that is quite a future development. The first sort of stage of development will be allowing people to actually create their own websites on our platform. Yeah. So, at the moment you've got a bunch of posts on Trybe, they're all under your name, and if you go to your profile, then you can find them. But if you wanted to create a website on Trybe, like, you might have map.Trybe.one, yep. That would actually be like your own website that you could customize to a degree. You could put a home page on there. You could put an About Me page, and it would pretty much be indistinguishable from another website, like a standalone website. And then you can even map your own domain name to it. So you could map, map.com or whatever it is, whatever domain name you have, to that subdomain. And then it would become, as I said, indistinguishable from a standalone website, except for the fact that every time you put a post on there, it also gets posted on the main Trybe site. So essentially, you're saving on that doubling up of I'm going to post this on my blog, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to post it on Trybe, and I'm going to go to Medium, or I'm going to go to Steam it. You know what I mean? It kind of, you're killing two birds with one stone. You're posting on your website, but at the same time, it's being republished on the Trybe.one site, which will mean people will get exposure for, because I think there's a lot of people out there with blogs on their own websites which just get no exposure because they've done no SEO. They've got, they don't have a following. So this is kind of a way for people to easily build a website themselves on our platform and at the same time get exposure on the main Trybe.one site for all of their content. So yeah, that's kind of the first step towards that. And then maybe later down the track as well, we'll build in extra features to that sort of website creation aspect, like have a shopping cart in there, or something like that, so that people can then start creating their own tokens, gamifying and tokenizing their own businesses in that way, in a sort of simple, user-friendly kind of way.
I think it's great. I love it. So I don't want to keep this too long because my interviews tend to be super long, but I find that with some of the long form interviews, it's a little bit better because it comes straight from the horse's mouth. And then those people who are really interested in the project are going to watch the video. And then those who aren't are going to get an opportunity to kind of see what it's really, really about, as opposed to me sitting there and just saying, hey, this is what's going on, and then possibly being misinformed about it as well. So I don't know. I guess I just want to, is there anything else that you want to kind of chat about? And I've got one parting question for you before I let you go about your day. Is there anything?
Not that I can really think of. Yeah, I think we've covered a fair bit, and I think we've covered enough. So shoot away. What's your question?
Okay, last question is, I see you and you're sitting behind this massive bookshelf. So I want to ask you, and the only question, this is kind of like the parting shot. What is the most influential book that you've ever read, or what is one book that you would recommend that everybody must read, based on the fact that you've got a considerable library?
One book that everyone should read. Look, I guess, to be honest, my favorite two books still, and they've been since I was a teenager, are probably Dune and The Lord of the Rings. Like, they're just up there with, they're the sort of thing I can just read over and over again and never really get tired of. So probably those two. Yeah, look, they're the ones which come to mind, to be honest. I think everyone should read those two books at least in their sometime in their lifetime, and they won't be sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you? What's your number one?
Oh man, I've got a ton of them. I think my number one, I really like a book called The Four Agreements by a guy named Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's kind of airy fairy, but it's four basic principles for living your life that will really help you out. One of which is always do your best. Some days your best is throwing a sandwich across the room and hitting the wall, and some days your best is great. But there's just four little principles to kind of live your life, and ways to kind of give yourself a little bit of a break. So I would say that that's one book that everybody should read. But I did read The Lord of the Rings, and they were 1,000 times better than the movies. I was a voracious reader when I was younger, as well as probably Aldous Huxley, one of my favorite authors of all times. And
Aldous Huxley, of course. Yeah, definitely. I had, Brave New World was one of those sort of, mind blowing kind of, and of course, George Orwell as well, like 1984, like that sort of, those books. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you got tons of work to do. I want to thank you sincerely, man. I really, I appreciate, just everything that you've done. I appreciate your contribution to EOS, and I want everybody to go. I want them to check out your Telegram, and I want them to go and check out Trybe.one and collect your free tokens. I'm willing to bet that if you take a little visit, you do a little bit of poking around, you'll be surprised because you might not end up leaving. So thank you for everything. Thanks for carving out a little bit of time to talk to me today, Tom. And I look forward to being a part of Trybe. And I look forward to working with you and continuing to publish my content and getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks very much, Matt. And thanks to you too for, having me on here, taking the time and creating these awesome videos. As I said, I've watched, the one you did with Nathan and the guy from Edna and with Dallas. And you've done a bunch of great interviews recently. And it's awesome to get a really, and as you said, these long form interviews are great to kind of get a really, deep dive into the projects. Yeah. So thanks to you.
Pleasure, my friend. A pleasure. I look forward to talking to you soon. You have yourself a fantastic day, and enjoy, man. You're doing big things. I love it.
Great. Thanks, Matt.